The time to act is now. Now is when we tear down those old systems of oppression, the ones that we know, we feel, we experience as being hurtful. And in its place, we put in egalitarian systems, permaculture systems, systems that are built for everyone. In order to do this, we need to work together. And just because we all speak the same language and we are all saying we want the same thing and we all hate fascists, does not mean that we can all work together cohesively. And there's a few reasons why. So as you're going through your activism, I have a few tips and tricks, 3 of them, that I encourage you to pay attention to because it could save you a lot of grief. Welcome to Misfit Grit. So your time and energy is precious. And I've seen it all, folks. I've been involved in resistance for 20 years now, and I've seen everything from anti-social socialists to power-hungry anarchists. I have seen misogynistic hackers and incredibly narcissistic middle-aged women that really make you go, ooh. I've seen accelerationists from the suburbs and snobby gatekeeping Democrats. Now, we all say we're fighting for the same thing, right? We all want to get rid of fascism. We all want to have a good, healthy society, but that doesn't mean we're all going about it the same way. And here is what I want you to focus on if you want to save a little bit of grief in your life. And I say this from experience. So you meet the group, right? You meet someone, you get invited to a meeting, to a group, and you speak the same language, right? They're talking about tear down patriarchy, get rid of racism, right? Down with white supremacy, abolish ICE, whatever your thing is, you hear it. And these people are speaking your language. And maybe you haven't heard a lot of that before. Maybe you live in a rural area or you're new to this work and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm so pleased to hear other people speak in my language. Great. You've met some folks. Let's take a beat. Pause. First thing you're going to do is scan the group's dynamics, the energetics of the room. What's going on in there? Who's who? So, is there drama right off the bat? People catfighting, gossipy stuff, clear dysfunction? Are we looking at people who are out of touch with reality? Maybe they're advocating for something that doesn't actually exist or make sense, or they don't really understand what the positioning is. You know, they need some education. There's a little naivete in the room. Is there a savior complex? If your skin looks like mine, pretty good chance somebody in the room has a savior complex. I've been there. Is there a top-down power structure? Huge one. Huge, huge, huge. Top-down power structure. And we're going to talk about the difference between power structures in just a minute. Because these are all red flags. When you start seeing this stuff pop up in a room, oh dear. That could be not a place you want to put your energy. So some examples of this might be people who right off the bat are going to be more of an activist than you are. And they're going to one-up you on everything. Everything you've ever done, they've done it twice and they've done it better. And you need to bow down to them. They're far more radical and involved and connected than you could ever hope to be. So you better submit now. Don't do that. Don't be that person. Don't go near that person. When you see that person, you know, light and love, I'm going to be over here. So these people have really fragile egos and they really need you to tell them that they are amazing. That's not your job. And they are more than willing to exploit others in order to prop up that fragile ego. You see, people with fragile egos, they really need the rest of us to tell them that they're good boys and girls, doing a great job, doing it better than the rest of us. And that's how that fragile ego is going to get through the day. So these are messy people, right? They don't have their stuff in order. They are not in alignment. They have not gotten through their trauma. And messy people, you know, energetically messy, psychologically messy, they lead with trauma. And although their intentions might be really, really wonderful, and you might see the potential in them, as I often do, being aware that that trauma that they're leading with is a huge red flag and will probably lead to quite a bit of chaos down the line. Okay, now we're going to talk about that power structure. Top down. Well, we're all used to that. We've all been groomed with it. We all were raised in it. If you were raised in Western civilization, there is clearly a hierarchy of who's got it and who doesn't. And that top-down power structure is what we call patriarchal power and patriarchal leadership. And women do this all the time too. There's a head, they're the boss, and everybody's below. Well, now if we're trying to build a different type of society, if we're trying to be egalitarian and create space for everyone to be a whole, imperfectly perfect person, then we have to get rid of that top-down structure. And instead what we want is matriarchal leadership. Now, men are more than welcome and invited to practice matriarchal leadership, because what a matriarchal leader does is she is not performing from the top down. She is scanning her flock or the people that she is leading, and she is saying, how can I best put my energy forward to meet the needs of the people? Instead of like, how can these people all meet my needs, right? There's a very big difference here. And we want to get away from that patriarchal leadership, right? We want to get rid of all that patriarchy stuff. And we want to have a more whole and even and steady way of being in this world. And this takes practice. And people who don't even realize that that's what they're doing, they don't even know. And most people are so conditioned to scramble to get ahead like that, this competitive, stomp on other people to get what you want, that even left-wing activists, even really, really far left-wing activists, I see them do this all the time. And it comes from that fragile ego. So if we want to create a better society, we have to start with the way that we lead. And seeking out those leaders who you can feel are actually leading with their heart. And they aren't going to get it right all the time either, but they're going to be far more likely to course correct, to listen to others, to learn new skills than the patriarchal leader, right? Because there's some ego in there that he's really trying hard to make sure gets propped up. So that's the type of leadership that we want to go for. And when you find those groups and those people, you're going to feel the difference. It's really good. So here's the next one, number 2, and it's trust your gut. Now, especially us women out there, we have been told, don't trust your gut. It's all your fault. They didn't mean it. And just go on with the show. Everything's going to be fine. Just do your job. That's not what we're going for here, right? We want wholeness. We want people to have experiences. We want that matriarchal experience. So if you're feeling in your gut and you're going, that right over there, I didn't like that, and I didn't like that or that either. Listen to it. I promise you, tapping into that gut can save you so much grief in the long run. And sometimes we feel really guilty because we see potential in a group, right? We're speaking the same language and we're like, well, if everything just got ironed out, it would work really well. The chances of that happening, especially on your watch or my watch or anyone's specific watch, is pretty slim to none. Because human beings, we have to individually go through this growth and this transformation. And I say from experience that, hey, bringing up some problems that I see over here, that gets you kicked out of these types of groups pretty darn quick. So dysfunctional people create dysfunctional groups. And that's personally not where I want to be. And I'm inviting you to think if that's where you would want to be as well. I'm not saying nothing gets done. Sometimes it does, but more often than not in what I see, they tend to kind of cannibalize each other and just kind of implode into this really messy, cringy situation that everyone is just kind of like, oh, yeah, that happened. I was there. When really, if we could just find the correct leadership and we could also train to be those types of leaders, I think we could get a lot further done. So you get to decide, do you stay or do you go? Maybe you have really good boundaries and you know what your tolerance is. Maybe, you've got some some marks under your belt, like that you can handle this, maybe, and you are willing to stick it out because the cause is important and you see that it's a good enough group, or maybe it's the best option you have. That is completely up to you and totally fine. I'm not saying the second you sense any dysfunction or red flags, you should hightail it to the hills. No, it's a personal choice and it really depends on what's going on in the group or with the individuals. A lot of things can get done and it's up to you if you want to be a part of it. So how we can decide if a group is for us or not is we assess our own values. What are your values? For me, this top-down approach of leadership, not into it. So when I see it, I'm not going to be a part of it because I want to create a society, and even if it's tiny little pockets here and there, where we don't try to just climb on top of each other to get things done. I don't like that stuff. I'm a real anarchist in that way. So center your values and let them guide you. Be in line with your values. Be in alignment. Don't feel guilt or shame if the group isn't for you, and you don't have to tell them why either. You can silently bow out, drift away. Because those top-down, dysfunctional, exploitive, maybe dismissive of concerns, savior complex, ego-centered, controlling, is this really what we want to keep perpetuating in our society, or do we want to elevate a little bit? I don't know about you. I'm ready to elevate. We want functioning enough. It is not going to be perfect because we are people, and that's okay. But we are striving for better. We can acknowledge, okay, yeah, I screwed that one up. I'm going to try to do better, take a little reflection time, not get dismissive or avoidant or defensive, but really, integrate the lessons that we learn as leaders, because we all have the potential to be leaders. Anyone. I don't care how much of a wallflower you think you are. You can be. And you have a gift somewhere in there. I promise you that. We want those functional, healthy groups to rise to the top because that's where our power is. Okay? That's how we individually feel our power. And when we as individuals who are living in alignment with our values, we know what we want and we know what we don't, and we can connect, that's where the magic happens. It is good stuff. So if you are looking for those types of groups and maybe you can't find them where you live, if you live in a rural place like I do, there's not a lot of that going on where I live, way up in Michigan's Keweenaw Peninsula, not a lot of this type of stuff that I'm talking about. But we have the internet, which for all its horrors can be a great place for us to connect. Hello, like and subscribe if you already haven't. And if you need to do that work solo, go for it. This is my bit, this little channel. This is how I help when I don't have a lot of ways to connect with my local activist scene. And I want to connect with the broader world. I'm pushing something a little bit different than that's happening here where I live locally. So this is how I do it. And I invite you to find your own ways of doing a similar thing. So getting involved with these messy groups is not really how we're going to get a lot done. And it's going to lead to burnout. And it's going to lead to hurt feelings often. And it can put a really sour taste in your mouth for the cause or the group or the area. And again, speaking from experience, if you can avoid that, it is for the best. We want a paradigm shift. Totally different than what we're experiencing now on this planet. We can really elevate it. And if we work together, do our internal work, and then let that ripple out, it is possible. We need to restructure those power systems, right? Get rid of that old, boring, top-down way of existing in the world, way of trying to control others in the world. Let's just throw that out the window because I am sick of it. And you probably are too if you're here. This is a channel where we talk about resistance, all the resistance. I do it all. You name it, I probably have dabbled, if not become an expert in resisting a toxic system that I just do not like. So if you like that kind of stuff, stick around. I love hearing what you're doing where you are. Because we may all speak the same language, we might have the same lingo, but that doesn't mean that it's easy for us all to get together and get that work done. But hopefully this video has given you a few ideas of how you can kind of sift through the noise. You can find a place where you feel really great in doing what you're doing, helping to support this movement, because this is our time. I mean it. The astrology is just out there. We got to do this. We are going to restructure some stuff, and we're going to restructure it so damn good. Your brain is just going to blow in a great way. So be polite when you leave a group. You don't need to tell them everything that you think is wrong with them. If they're interested, they can always reach out. They usually don't. And move forward in alignment with your values. So thanks for sticking around. My name's Kat, by the way, if you made it all this way to the end of the video. Like I said, I talk about resistance as a lifestyle. Like and subscribe, share with someone who you think might enjoy this, because I love connecting with people, and tell me what you're seeing where you live. All right, everyone, keep safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and if you can, someone else too.